Yep, that's right. 4:05 begins my day. Sometimes it's earlier than that if I can't sleep, but usually I get up around 4:05, and then of course I brush my teeth and I'll wash my face and just try to wake up in the morning. Then once that is done, I check my closet, decide on what I'm going to wear for the day. Then I walk in the kitchen and I check on Winston, see how he's doing. I make my cup of coffee. I love using Starbucks coffee. And then I check on the other dogs and make sure they're doing okay. And then I feed them all and then let them out and let them go for a walk. I have to walk Winston by myself because he's still a puppy. And then I bring the dogs in and they get settled. I try to eat something for breakfast. The dogs usually have a little playtime. And then I start to put on my facial creams. I like to use Daily Moisturizer, Clinique for Men. And I'll do this pretty much every day. Sometimes I might skip a day, but usually I try to do it every day where I put on some type of facial cream, usually moisturizer first, and then some type of facial cream. I also like using eye cream in the morning, and I love using Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair, I think it's called. And that is really, I love Neutrogena. That's actually one of my favorites. But I think it's important to take care of your skin and let that set in for a little bit. And that's usually what I do. I might skip, like I said, I might skip a day or two sometimes, but usually I try to do it every day. Then after that, I check on the dogs again, see how they're doing, and then I go into the office, and in the office I have a pad where I usually write down what's going on for the day. Sometimes I have to pay bills and stuff, and check on the doggies again, and then I have to take care of cleanup in the kitchen from the night before, and I'll put away dishes and clean up the kitchen a little bit before I leave, and make sure everything looks nice. So when I come home, I don't have to worry about that. And then I make another cup of coffee. So I usually have at least 2 cups, sometimes 3 in the morning. Another thing I like to do is I usually watch the news in the morning, just to find out what's going on in the world, and also what the weather. I'll check my weather app, see how the temperature is outside and what the weather's going to be like. Then I spend about 5 minutes just meditating and relaxing before I start to get ready, and it's usually around 5 o'clock by that time, a.m., and I'll go and get ready for work. I'll check out my clothes, what I'm wearing, and I'll get dressed. And then I have to also make my lunch in the morning. Usually I take my lunch to work, and then by the time I'm done making lunch, it's and probably checking to see if I have any bills or mail out. It's usually around 5:30, 5:35 before I leave for work. Ever since I became a teacher, I made it a habit to always be like the first one at school. So as soon as I can get into the building, that is when I get there. And to be quite honest, I usually get there about 5 to 10 minutes earlier than that and just sit in the car and wait. Because I just definitely want to start at 6 o'clock when I get there, and then I start my day at school. Basically, when I come in the morning, I get here at 6 in the morning, and I always look really, really tired, because I am. And I usually get 6 hours sleep, usually, something like that. And so I come in early in the morning because there's a reason for it. So I get set up for the day. Since I'm an art teacher, I have to make sure that all the supplies are out, what we're going to be using, because I have 7 grade levels, and each grade level does something different. So I have to have all the supplies out. So in here, it's where I keep their work, and I have it labeled according to grade levels and days. And then I make sure I put it out, and then all the supplies that I'm going to need for the day. Okay, so then I log in, and what I usually do in the morning is I check my emails first and see what's up and coming. I also check my lesson plans. I go through my lesson plans and what I'm going to be doing that day and what's up and coming, so I have an idea. I make sure their assignments are written on the board, what we're doing, and then I That usually takes, believe it or not, it takes around close to 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what we're doing exactly. But usually getting out their supplies, preparing, organizing, and going through lesson plans, that takes about 20, 30 minutes, probably about 20. And then after that, I usually work on lesson plans again for what's up and coming. If I'm not ahead, usually I am ahead, so I really don't have to worry about that, but sometimes I do that. Sometimes I might have to do grades and enter grades in the computer, so I spend the morning doing that. Usually I'm pretty much done with all morning routines probably by 6:45-ish, something like that. Takes me about 45 minutes kind of like to do all that. And if I do finish early, then usually I will go and visit with a couple of teachers that get here early, just check in with them, see how they're doing. I usually like doing that because I feel that's important in building relationships, because even that I'm a specials teacher now, teaching art, I still feel like it's important to keep that contact and keep that build those relationships among the other grade levels. I think that's important, instead of just keeping yourself on your own island or whatever. And so that, usually I'm done by, let's say, a little after 7. And then usually I have morning duty, and morning duty for me now consists of just staying by the door, opening the doors for the kids, greeting the kids in the morning. Last year I had cafeteria duty in the morning, breakfast, that kind of deal. It depends. I guess every year might be a little bit different. And sometimes you may not even have a morning duty, depending on your administration. I do have an afternoon duty too. So at afternoon, I have to do bus duty. So all the kids that ride the bus, I'm in the gym, we gather together, and then we walk them out at the end of the day and to the bus and see them off. And so usually there's a morning duty and afternoon duty. I don't have lunch duty, thank God for that. And so I do have my 45-minute conference period, and I do have a 30-minute lunch. And that is it during the day. And then I'm usually, of course, then I'm teaching for the rest of the day. And I teach kindergarten through 6th grade. And the grade levels are different. It's spread out differently throughout the day. So I don't start out with kindergarten. I start out with 6th grade. And then it goes 5th, 3rd, 4th, 1st, 2nd, 1st, kinder, and 2nd. And so that's usually, I end the day teaching 2nd grade, which is good, because 2nd graders are sweet and they're very helpful. So I think that's a great grade to end the day on. And yeah, so that's usually my daily routine as a specialist teacher. When I was a classroom teacher, it was a lot different. You always have meetings constantly. You hardly get any time to yourself. You don't really get your 45-minute conference time because you're meeting. I mean, you get it, but yet you're attending a meeting. Either you're planning with a fellow colleague in your grade level, subject area, or you're meeting with instructional coaches, or you're having some type of meeting like a 504 or some type of meeting. Thank God for specials, you don't have that. So I've been teaching specials. I'm going on my 6th year now teaching art. And it was a great move. Should have done it a long time ago. Because as a classroom teacher, you don't really have, there's no time to even go to the bathroom, believe it or not. And so it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And so going into teaching, if you're someone that's going into teaching, you really need to take that into consideration, that it's not going to be an easy job. It's fun, it's rewarding, because you're working with kids and you're seeing growth and you're knowing that you're made a difference. However, the money's not there, as everybody knows, and it's been like that for years. Nothing ever changes. But the money's not there, and also you're really spread thin. And then it doesn't end at 3 o'clock either, because after school there's emails to respond to, there's phone calls to respond to. You're working on grading, you're grading papers, You're planning also after school usually, and maybe making copies, or if you're teaching the younger grades, maybe you're doing something where you have to make little projects and stuff. It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's like I get here at 6. Usually as a specialist teacher, since I teach art, I can leave by 3:30. And when I go home, I don't have that grading like I did when I was a classroom teacher. However, I still have to create the projects that the kids do for art for 7th grade levels. So I am creating it. We only have what's called the TEKS, Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, and we follow the TEKS and we create these lessons. And there is a lot of sharing amongst the art teachers and things like that. And then you can go online and find a lot of ideas. However, I'm creating this myself, and so I have to do these projects. Like this one is Monet's bridge that the 3rd graders are going to do. So this is something that I created. It's called an oil resist, where they are using oil pastels and watercolor paint. So of course I had to create this first, and that takes time. You can't do it during the school day. So when do you do it? You do it outside of school. So usually I'm doing this at home, maybe on the weekend, maybe during the week, it depends. So in some respects, for a specialist teacher like me teaching art, it's a little bit easier than a classroom teacher, but then we also have another, we teach all students. I teach 700 and something students, where a classroom teacher only teaches 20 to 25 really, depending on the grade level. And so, so I mean, give and take everywhere. Anyway, that's pretty much my routine. Well, that was my day in a nutshell. Of course, I didn't talk about meetings sometimes we have after school. So usually it's on Wednesdays, it depends. So sometimes there's meetings after school, sometimes there's nightly functions. So it's a lot. And so right now I'm at home. I'm super happy I'm home. I'm exhausted. As you can see, I look really, really tired. But so that's pretty much my day in a nutshell as a teacher. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Happy Healthy Living with Yvonne Douglas today. Remember, if you want that homey vibe, you need to subscribe, and please give this video a like. Until next time, happy healthy living. Bye-bye.